Welcome to the wood turning workshop. Today, we're going to be harvesting wood, taking it back to the shop, coring it out to make bowl blanks, and I'm going to show you a really cool way then to dry the wood. And it's all going to start with this nice little sapling. Stay tuned.
The Wood Turning Workshop is made possible in part by
Woodcraft since 1928, providing traditional and modern woodworking tools and supplies to generations of craftsmen. Woodcraft, helping you make wood work.
Easy Wood Tools, offering a full line of wood turning tools with replaceable carbide cutters.
Well, I've been looking for some wood, and Rick, you got a nice piece of wood here.
It's a nice chunk there.
What have you got going on today, though? I mean, you got a bunch of guys here, and you got this rig set up, and what are you doing with this wood today?
The wood turners are looking for some wood to turn, so we're going to be cutting this log into 8-inch by 8-inch sections.
Right.
And
you're going to be using this big bad boy here?
We'll be using this sawmill. This is a swing arm sawmill. Unlike a lot of the portable sawmills you see, this has a circular blade as opposed to a bandsaw.
That is big. Yeah, I expected to see a bandsaw blade out here, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I will, in the vertical position, I make a cut from one end of the log to the other. Then I move the blade to the horizontal position, and I cut from this end back to the front, and that takes off one board.
So you're making kind of like timbers?
Yes.
Okay, and they're wanting 8-inch square timbers?
8-inch square timbers.
And so does this move too?
Yes, the dolly rolls from one end of the log to the other.
Okay, I see. That's pretty cool. And I imagine it makes a lot of noise, a lot of dust.
It's very noisy.
That's cool. And this is a beautiful piece of sycamore too. And I can see a couple of the guys already stole some burls off of it before you got going on it.
Yes, yeah, I want to save those.
Okay. And do you think you might have enough wood left over for us for a couple projects?
Certainly.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, we'll let you get to work and we'll stand back and watch.
Okay.
Thank you. So what does he do with the pieces? Does he throw them off?
Yeah. He's doing a horizontal cut now.
Right.
That'll just take out a little piece.
Yeah. Okay, I see. So he's nibbling away at it, right?
His maximum depth of cut is 8 inches.
Okay, and so he shifts it over, comes back.
Right. He moves it over 8 inches.
Okay.
Takes another vertical cut.
Okay.
As he comes down through there, see, he's 8 inches from where he was.
Sneaking up on a bead. You don't want to take too much wood at once. You want to take it slow and work your way into it. So he just throws the wood off and somebody grabs it off to the side then as you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he gets to the beams,
yeah,
there'll be 2 people, one on each end, so they're pretty heavy.
Wow, I got you.
Okay. And the length of this log.
So he just sneaks up on it right now, gets it into shape, and then start whacking.
Just getting the lumps off so he can get a full length cut.
So now what he does is he has to stop it, he has to lower it down, right?
Right.
How's he measure it?
This black plastic slides up and down.
Oh, this part right here? Okay, doing great, Rick.
It's got a gauge on the other side of it. And then he does both ends, and one cranks both sides.
Yeah, it's so nice to see somebody wearing a helmet and ear protection and face protection, because so many wood turners and woodworkers out there don't wear it. It's a good idea. I hate to be a nag, but you know,
well, see,
it only takes that long for an accident
See
to
this
happen.
sliver laying on the ground?
Yeah, this one?
I thought that was going to fly off and hit the cameraman.
Yeah, roll right in there. That would have been a great shot. I'm all right. Can I borrow that? I might use it later. Yeah.
See, he's got his flat plane, now he's over here and he's 8 inches down. Okay. And it's just barely getting the bite. Now he moved over I think 8 inches.
This will be the first substantial piece of wood.
It'll be sort of.
Maybe not substantial. That's his first corner. So Stan, now we're getting some real wood out of this.
It's almost a full size.
Yeah, and it gets heavy, doesn't it? Oh my! Where are we taking this? Over there. Holy cow.
This is not your piece.
Huh? It's not my piece?
No, no, yours is on the bottom.
Okay. Hey, come here, I got a question.
Okay.
Stan, why are we taking the wood all the way uphill and all the way over here when we could have just laid it over there?
Well, we weren't very bright when we started.
So this is not my piece. You want it on top or on the ground?
I think it's on the ground.
Okay. So,
Hey, good job, guys. Good job.
nicely done. You worked hard there. So, I take it my piece is where in there?
It's just below that brown center.
It's on the bottom.
Right on the bottom.
That'll be a while yet.
Yeah, right.
You guys deliver?
We might work something out.
Okay. Well, it's been a couple days since we were out harvesting the wood. As you can see, I've been busy with the chainsaw and the bandsaw, taking our wood and cutting it to shape. Now, if you're not going to use the wood right away, I really recommend you use a wood sealer on here because the end grain starts to dry out and the wood will crack. You can see by this piece over here that it had the pith left in. You can see a little bit of crack right there, so I really sealed that heavily so it won't spread any further. Well, once you have your blank rounded out and ready to go, the next thing is we're going to put on the lathe and prepare it for turning into a bowl. The tools we're going to be using today are a large bowl gouge, a specially ground badan, and a coring system. As you can see, been roughing out the bowl blank and getting it to shape. A little bit of shavings. I'm also turning at a little bit slower than normal speed right here. Turns out with this piece of wood, I had a surprise. Apparently, this is either heartwood or a branch. I think it's a branch because when they cut the wood for me, I didn't exactly see the orientation that came out. So that's really heavy, really hard, really soft. So over here, there's no counterbalance, so it gets really out of balance when I'm turning. But anyway, I've got the shape where I want it. This is rough turning. We don't have to be perfect right now. So I'm going to grab my badan, bring my tool rest up a little bit right here, and we're going to just simply make a nice sharp tenon on here that will fit into the dovetail jaws of our chuck. Do a little bit at a time. See, I've cut that at an angle. Those of you who watch the show are familiar with this. And I ground it to an angle to match my jaws. So just make a tenon like this. That's all we need. Make sure your tenon, though, is about 40 to 50% the diameter of the bowl so you get a nice strong hole. So, once I get this cleaned up just a little bit, then we're going to turn it around and get ready to core it out. There, that's about right on center. Now, if you're like me and you hear the word core, you think apple, right? Well, in this case, we're going to core the bowl. Rather than waste all this great wood by hollowing it out to make one bowl, we're going to get 2, 3, possibly 4 bowls out of this by using a coring system. Really cool. Comes with different blades. The arc gets wider as you get to the bigger part of the bowl, and so you can actually take this system, go in, pop that bowl out, pop the next one, and keep going. Then you wind up with 4 bowls instead of a lot of shavings. I like shavings just as much as the next guy, but when I can get 4 bowls for all the work it took to get this blank of wood, that is awesome. Now, this has to be on center, so we've already got that set. But what you have to do for the entry on this is you want this as close as possible to the wood without touching it. And you see an arc here. So how do you figure out where you want this to start and what angle? Because it all swivels, it all moves. Well, make this angle, the entry, match the outside of your bowl because it's curved. It's not straight. That'd be a straight. So we're going to curve it just a little bit, just like that. And I've got my lathe again at a slow speed because of this out around situation, so this will be cutting a little bit slower than what you'd expect. But you'll get the idea once we get going in here. So I'm raising the handle, keeping the tool tip low, and I'm going to just steadily feed it in there. Now one thing as you do this, it's a big cut. You can feel it, hear vibration on my lathe, right? Part of that has to do with the fact that I'm on a wooden floor. The other part is I'm going at such a slow speed. So I'm just feeding steady pressure. Get some of the shavings out of the way so I can see my angle. Keep going in. Get that cleared out a little bit more. And I'm following the arc. I'm making an arc with the tool as it goes in. Now, you can bog down your lathe as the shavings build up. So what you want to do is you want to back the tool out a little bit and come in here and just start to cut right here on the edge. We're going to widen this kerf so the shavings will have more room to come out. So we're just coming out right here, and I'm going to cut in and make it a little bit wider. See? Push it straight in. Okay. Now the shavings will have a much easier time getting out of here. You see I'm slowing down the lathe? Another trick is if you loosen the belts on your motor, I'll try to stall this out. See, it's not jamming, it's just stalling out the lathe. So you won't get a nasty catch that way. The belts slip rather than something bad happening. So we're going to keep working on this, and I'm going to get closer and closer to where this is going to pop out. Okay, we're getting closer. If you look straight down the line of the handle, you know where the tip is. So we're very close to the end here. You can even hear the sound changing a bit. There we go. That is our first little bowl that came out. So what we're going to do, it's even thickness all the way through for drying. That's cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep working on these bowls and work our way to the outside. In a minute, we'll probably have to change the diameter of the blade to be able to make the wider curves. So get here, start up again, and get going on our second bowl. Well, you can see we've got bowls 1 and 2 done, and I am working on 3 right now. They're a little ugly looking, but hey, they're roughed out. The more practice you get with this, the smoother they'll look, but you don't necessarily need smooth. You're just wanting to get a rough bowl blank out. Now, talking about really smooth and really cool, a friend of mine, Mike Mahoney, who's actually helped me with the research on this project quite a bit, this guy's a coring nut. And in addition to coring, he does what's called nesting. And his work is phenomenal. Nesting is going in and coring out a piece of wood, usually a burl. He makes such wonderful stuff. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? And he can get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bowls out of one piece of wood, and then they all nest together. It's a beautiful effect. It's really artistic, and those expensive burls cost a lot. And it's an amazing way to stretch your dollar on your burl if you can do some nested bowls. Now, a tip that Mike gives us is, he said when he does his nested bowls, he starts on the outer bowl first. Because he says if he winds up coming to the middle and he wastes that last little bowl, nobody notices it missing. But if he starts in the middle like we are and going out, and he wastes the last big bowl, people notice that. And so he simply, whoops, a little bit stuck there. Let me get that loose. He simply remounts each piece as he goes and keeps working his way to the smaller diameter. Okay. Now we're getting to a point here. It's kind of why it's sticking. Let me show you here. The tool is hitting the edge here as I'm making the curve, but the tip is pushing on that side, so I need to just take the tool rest, move it a little bit. See how it's centered up now? It's nice and centered, so now it's going to start turning a little bit easier. So I'm going to keep working my way down without catching the tool. That's why I have those loose belts. I'm going to keep working my way down, and we'll pop out our last bowl here. We're getting closer. And as you get in towards the center, you get more powder, more end grain, less shavings, which is kind of nice because the shavings tend to clog up more than the powder. If you're new at this and uncertain where the tip of the tool is, you can get this with a laser on there, and it actually tells you where the tip of the tool is. And I'm sighting down there, and I'm doing pretty good. You notice I also picked up the speed of the lathe a little bit. Get some of those shavings out. Because as the bowl was getting thinner and lighter, it was less out of round. Okay, I think we're so close I can snap this out. It's wiggling. There we go. That worked really well. Now, I want to show you a really cool way to dry these rather than sticking them in a paper bag. We're going to rush the process a bit. But before we do that, it's time for your turn. Okay, I get this one all the time, and I'm sure you do too. You get a phone call. Hey, I got a tree. Well, if it's like this one, out in the middle of nowhere, and somebody needs it removed, fine. All you have to do, get your chainsaw and go for it. Now, if somebody calls you up and they want to remove a tree like this one, well, first off, it's probably because they got a bid from a professional and they want you to do it for free. Because look at all the problems. You have a house there. You even have a cooker. I wouldn't want to mess up their barbecue. And on top of that, we have electric lines behind the tree. Even if they have great insurance and you have great insurance, don't go there. Just walk away. Walk away. Now remember, you don't want to cut down something as magnificent as this just to make a bowl. Because as wood turners, our job is to honor the tree. Well, we've got our bowl blanks and we're at my buddy Pete Kopp's shop today. I like that, it rhymes. Hi, thanks for having us.
Morning, Jim. Glad to be here.
You got a pretty cool setup, lots of room. Is this like a 2-car garage?
Closer to 3-car garage.
Oh, that's nice, and no cars.
No cars.
2 lays and a lot of wood storage and dust collection, that's really nice. But you got something unique in here. I haven't seen a refrigerator in a shop too often.
Well, oftentimes it's full of beer, but today it isn't. This is, this is a kiln that I inherited from my friend Larry, and I use it to dry my rough turned bowl blanks.
Oh, that is neat.
Taking all the guts out of it so it's not a working refrigerator.
Right.
Acts as a kiln. Okay. Air circulates from the bottom.
With this fan?
With the fan. It sucks the air in through a small hole here in the front of the door. There's a small shutter that I can control the airflow and keep. It's about the size of a 50-cent piece, so there's not a lot of air movement, which is the idea.
Okay.
And then the air flows up through the kiln, through the refrigerator, and there's a hole in the top. Functions the same way.
I see. And the whole idea is not to stop the drying process or slow it down. It's actually to control the drying process. And you actually can dry a bowl faster this way, right?
Yes, if it dries too fast, they're prone to crack.
Right.
So this slows the drying process down in a controlled atmosphere. Hopefully it's not dependent on the weather, too humid, too hot, too dry, and this is a stable environment.
Okay, and so you're less likely to get cracks because this dries at an even rate.
Yes.
If I just threw this in my shop on the shelf, it's a hot day, then it gets cool at night and all that stuff, the humidity comes in and out, and that bowl goes crack.
The temperature goes up and down, and the airflow goes up and down. Yeah. There's a light bulb on the bottom that's hooked up to a thermostat that isn't real scientific, but I have a thermostat that keeps the temperature about 80 degrees with a small thermostat.
Oh, let's see that on the other side. Yeah. Oh, it's just a meat thermometer.
Just a meat thermometer. I have to bring it back into my wife when she cooks.
Well, at least you're not using her microwave. We could get into a lot of trouble.
I have gone that route.
Okay, so it's amazing though. Just the power of one light bulb is enough to warm this up because it's completely sealed, except for the small amount of air.
Except for the small holes.
And so you've got a pretty good success rate, I imagine, with drying your bowls this way.
I've had a couple of cracks, but the majority of them, I'll say I'm 95% no cracks.
That is really cool. Now you mentioned something to me too. I wonder if you have, is this a good example about what you do to the edge of your bowl when you're turning it?
When I rough turn the bowls, I don't like to leave a real sharp edge. To me, it sets up a stress riser, an area that cracks can start from. So if I just round it over slightly on the edges, and again, I've had very good luck without having bowls crack on me.
Neat.
They do turn oval.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've had almost, as I said, 95% success rate.
Oh, good. Well, I've got some. Mind if we load them up and you dry them for me?
Absolutely.
All right, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've brought a few bowls for you. We were quarrying them in the shop. Sycamore. I made them about as ugly as I could. And you can see that there's a little bit of mold on these because it's been a couple days since we did the coring, and I put them in a plastic bag because I didn't want these to crack at all. If you put them in a plastic bag with wet shavings and seal it, nothing's going to happen. Or if you're trying to dry it that way, it will take you almost a year on a big bowl sometimes, right?
Yes.
The other thing is, it's a cool trick. If you have a little bit of time, you can put the bowl in there, let it sit in there for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, it'll spalt. That fungus starts to grow in there and it'll change and darken the wood and make some really cool effects. Well, here, you got help. Okay, so anyway, gotta get these in there, right? Now, how do you normally stack these?
I usually stack them upside down so the air can flow into the bottom.
Okay.
And often...
One thing real quick. On there, if you notice, I put the type of wood and the date that I turned it. That way I won't lose track of the piece of wood later. You know, if 3 months goes by, I go, oh, it's dry probably.
Gives you an idea what your timeline is. And oftentimes, so they don't lay down flat, even though they're holes through the boards, I'll put a little piece of wood, which holds it up off the bottom, just gives it a little more opportunity for airflow.
And your shelving there has lots of holes in it, which helps too.
Yeah, you want to maximize the airflow. You don't want any of the air to be stagnant.
Okay.
And if the bowls are stacked on top of one another, again, so there's openings so the air can flow through. You don't want to stack them one on top of the other.
And seal off the inside of one or the other?
You want the air to continue to flow around the bowls.
Okay. Well, that looks pretty good. Now, guesstimating now, I know some of your bowls are a little shinier than mine, so you're sealing some of them too, right?
I've experimented with a green wood sealer on the bowls to slow down. Even though the bowls are in a controlled environment, you're going to dry more from one direction than they are from the other. So to try to equalize the drying process all the way around, I'll put sealer sometimes in the bottom, I'll put sometimes around the entire bowl as an experiment, but I've had about a 95% success rate either way.
That's cool. But if you have a piece of wood like cherry, fruit wood wants to move a lot and crack a lot.
Yes.
Sealing it would really help the process because you're not necessarily in a hurry. You want a good bowl blank so you can make a nice bowl because it's a lot of work to cut down the wood, get the wood, bring it home, fashion it, and get it into that shape right there. So you don't want to waste all that work.
Cherry is probably one of the worst woods for cracking that I've experienced, and it's hit or miss. There's no rhyme or reason.
Okay. Well, now we've taken you all the way up to this point to where we're showing you how to harvest the wood, how to core it out, how to dry it, and it's going to take a while before these are ready to turn. But I don't want to leave you hanging there because I want to show you how you can remount it on the lathe once it's dried. Now, normally when you turn a bowl and just turn the bowl, you have a tenon on here, but that tenon is going to go oval, so you're going to want to take, I want to hit it myself here, your chuck here, and just with the jaws closed, take this and press it into it. And then you're going to be able to bring your tailstock up and make contact there. We'll see if I'm close here. Oh, not bad at all. Okay, lock that in. And then you bring your tailstock up for support, and it just pushes that in. Now it's held there. And Pete has tenons on a lot of your bowls, right?
All my bowls have tenons because I don't use the coring process.
Yeah.
So every bowl I have to put in a chuck.
Right, and in this case, since this is cored out, there's no tenon on it. But it's the same process. You'd almost think if that's a tenon, where's the on yours?
The big switch.
It's going the wrong way now. It's in reverse.
Well, you need to stand on this side.
Yeah, right.
Just turn it off and the toggle switch.
Oh, I see. Okay, push off. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hey, I'm used to my lathe. Okay, we'll bring up the speed nice and slow. And you're just going to come in with your bowl gouge and just make a cut inside. Be a little bumpy right off the bat. But that really, right there, is about all you have to do. You just shape that to the size, or size that to what your jaws are, and now we have a perfect tenon. So you can reverse it and go ahead and round it out. You can round it out a little bit right now while it's on here. But again, this one's not dry, so it's going to take a couple months maybe to get them dry, and then we'll come back and pick them up from you, Pete.
Different woods dry at a different rate. Also depends on when you've cut them, how green they are.
Yeah.
There's different theories about if you cut the wood in the spring or cut it in the fall with the sapwood up or the sapwood down. Not the sapwood, but the sap up or down. So again, I've not kept track of all the different ways to dry it, to cut them, and they all work out about the same.
Yeah, I was going to say, it starts to get into higher math at that point. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting us come over.
Anytime, glad to have you.
Like I said, we'll be back to pick up those bowls once they dry.
Very good.
Okay. Well, until the next time on the Wood Turning Workshop, keep turning.
Next time on the Wood Turning Workshop.
Today, we're going to be turning one of my favorite things, Banksia pods. They're like pine cones on steroids. Now, the hidden surprise with Banksia pods is the fact that this was a flower beforehand. You leave the inside surface as clean and smooth as possible because you won't be able to sand the inside of this. We come back here and clean this up a little bit. And we can now show our fully assembled Banksia pod box with finial and foot.
For more information about the Wood Turning Workshop, visit our website at rsupublictv.org.
Oh man, I'm getting too old for this. Oh, can you pull that back a little? Thank you. You know, normally you just cut out all this right here. You shush out of this, shush.
Put it back.
Yeah, slide her on in. Yeah, keep going. If you're like me and you hear the word kids, you see a little dot there? I didn't put my glasses on. Let's see if it's ready to pop off here. Almost. Not even close. It works.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I did that by myself.
Yeah.
The Wood Turning Workshop is made possible in part by
Woodcraft, since 1928, providing traditional and modern woodworking tools and supplies to generations of craftsmen. Woodcraft, helping you make wood work.
Easy Wood Tools, offering a full line of wood turning tools with replaceable carbide cutters. To order a DVD of this or any other episode, call 1-800-823-7210 or visit rsupublictv.org.
This week on the Wood Turning Workshop, we're going to take you through the entire process of turning this big boy into a bowl. Oh, we're so close now. Now, how do you normally stack these?
I usually stack them upside down so the air can flow into the bottom. Well, oftentimes it's full of beer, but today it isn't.